Good morning, good afternoon, good night to everyone here. Depends where you're living, I guess. And thank you very much for attending this webinar on how to run the new Spectrum Eyesets and the Premier device. We've been working on these devices for about 10 years now. They're a huge undertaking to modernize everything to do with audiovisual entrainment, cranial electrostim, and transcranial DC stim, all of which can be done on these two devices. And so thank you very much for attending. I do appreciate it so much. And I'm excited to show you how this stuff works and why you might want to use it. Let me show you a few things. First of all, here we go. This is the Spectrum Eyeset. The Spectrum Eyeset can generate 10,000 colors. And do any of you do syntonics or color therapy? And in this group, nobody? Yeah, some. Okay. You can actually go in and calibrate every single LED in here to make them exact match to your computer screen or whatever your color source is to make sure everything is exactly the same. Hi, Antonio.
Hey, Dave.
Yep. I once lectured at his college many years ago up in England. It was great. It was a good time.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, indeed. And okay, so I'm going to show you a few things. So we have the, of course, we have this Spectrum. We have the Premier right here, and in the Premier, how many folks have Premiers right now? I know Antonio does. I think Mark does. Here it is. Here it's firing up now. There's a few things about this Premier that are very, very different from our old devices. You can run two Eyesets. There's plugs for two. You can run split off your headphones. You've improved the amps. There's no pop when it shuts off anymore. It's got a menu, of course, on the screen. One of the cool things is all the sessions now are on an SD card, and you can write your own, and you can install them on this card, and you can put them in device. You can put audio files on the card, and it'll play them through the Premier automatically, and you can synchronize them to your session so that the session length and the audio length will match. You can play background sounds, and we've got ocean waves, we've got brooks, we've got chimes, we've got all kinds of things that we can play as select as background sounds, and we're going to keep adding more to that list. I certainly like the ocean waves and the babbling brook. It's kind of my favorite ones, but we can also run cranial electrostim at different frequencies from the light and sound, and there's reasons for that. One of the things that we've been playing with is there's a study published some years ago where they found that for dealing with pain, as you know, cranial electrostim is often used for pain because it liberates endorphins. But what they found is that if they went from half hertz to 100 hertz every 4 seconds or so, they could liberate the endorphins off the half hertz. Might have been 2 hertz, sorry, might have been 2 hertz. And then they could liberate dynorphins off the 100 hertz. And they could activate 2 pain gates simultaneously and make it far more effective as a pain device. And so anyway, that was the research. So we designed this with that in mind so we could have the CES alternating back and forth to automatically trigger 2 pain gates simultaneously. But then a lot of people with chronic pain struggle with severe anxiety. They struggle with depression as well. Anxiety, depression, and so on are common amongst people with chronic pain. So we have merged now this dual frequency endorphin dynorphin CES protocol with our depression protocol and with an alpha protocol for relaxation. So you can manage the brain or the mind, I guess we can call it that way. You can manage the mind at the same time you're managing the pain gates. And the people who've used it so far have been very, very pleased with its ability to really help take away pain quite quickly. So that is one of the abilities we can do with this device. It also does transcranial DC stim as well. So those of you who bought a Delight Pro in the past and had the AVE and CES, then you had to buy an Oasis Pro to get the TDCS. You can do both simultaneously, everything on this device now. And one of the features that we've incorporated in is for stroke and such. It's a benefit if you can do transcranial DC stim over the lesioned area simultaneously while you're doing whole brain enhancement of cerebral blood flow, especially with the entrainment at the same time. And so we've got it now so you can run entrainment and transcranial DC stim simultaneously. And that'll be clinically, that'll be a very nice option that you can do. You can even use the view hole Eyesets. Now, where are my view hole Eyesets now that I need a pair?
I have some. Oh.
Good. Oh, good.
Where
and
am
so
I?
While you're doing TDCS and entrainment, you could have someone actually do cognitive tasks in relation to where their stroke is. It's always been shown, especially with TDCS, you're better off engaging in the activity over that's involved in the brain area you're trying to treat. If it's aphasias or ataxia, apraxia, speech issues, you can put it over Broca's, Wernicke's, motor strip, and you should be practicing those things at the same time. Oh, Michael Joyce is coming back. Yay, Michael. Michael, I've known Michael for at least 30 years. Michael was a big player. Oh, here's Kyle too. All these people. Good to see you, Kyle. Michael was really big. He did some huge studies for us with ADHD using entrainment up in Minnesota. And he'll probably weigh in a little later and tell us a little bit about that. His biggest study had 206 kids in it, and their reading and their impulsiveness and their anxiety and depression improved dramatically in the course of 10 weeks. That was the second study. His first study had, I think, 34 kids in it. And they were all in the special needs school called New Vision School or A Chance to Grow. I'm not sure. Kind of had both names, but it was a special needs school, and Michael did some really groundbreaking work there. Anyway, so let me tell you a few things about the gear. That's really cool. One of the things that's really cool about this Eyeset is you can run off both your Premier, or you can plug it into the USB port on your computer. And we have an app called Live because you can run it live. But you can also we also have a whole bunch of protocols right from our Premier that are also in there, and you can run it right off the protocol, right off your computer. So you could have a patient in your office, and you could be experimenting with different things and trying this frequency, that frequency, and other things until you kind of get maybe what seems to be best for that person. And then you can record that off the computer, and it will build the session for you that you can install into the Premier and send it home. So it's pretty amazing what we've done with this. But meanwhile, I'll show you how to run this off the computer first, and you'll be able to also get to hear some of the tones, because I don't have a way of plugging the Premier into the computer. My computer doesn't have a line in on it, so I can't plug the Premier in. But you'll hear the exact same thing right off the computer. Okay, so let's do that. Let's share. Any questions so far?
Yeah, Peter Fagerholm has one.
Okay.
It says, looking for within sessions measurements of protocols. Not sure exactly what he is looking for. Within sessions, measurements of protocols.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out.
Okay.
We also have an app called Breathe, and it's a very powerful heart rate variability app. We've done most of our sort of case studies with John LeMay, and John has taken people who some people are so anxious that when you try to pace their breathing, they just get more anxious, and it just fails completely. And John has I got cases on my heart rate variability webinar that are on our website that I got a whole bunch of recorded lectures, and you can go there and you can see just how that worked. Everybody can see the spectrum now right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll click on it because that's the serial number of this device right here. I'll click on it. There we go. Start live session. There's an install. I guess I'm going to have to do an update. That's a nice thing too. As we do software updates, it all shows up on your computer, and you can just do the update. what we call automagically right off your computer, so you don't have to fuss with trying to figure out how to update it. There we go, it's updating. Do not unplug the device. Okay, there's a little blue light telling it's receiving data. And when it's done, we're good. Bingo, here we go. Now we're rolling. Okay, we're good. So now we can see what we're doing. So we're not flashing or anything at the moment, but I can take this frequency right here and I can dial it up. Oh, let me say, let me share the audio. Computer sound. There you go. Now everybody can hear it go bop, 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 right? Okay, yeah. And I can bring this frequency up. So we're at 8 hertz right now, 8 flashes per second. We can do a lot of randomization. So I can run, as you know, we can run dual frequencies on this gear, which we do for cognitive issues and for depression. And all you have to do is go dual. And now I can make one fast, one side fast. I can make, like, I got the left side going at 36.9. The left side I got going at 6. That's kind of crazy doing it that way. But now I can go down here and I can say, let's pick some colors. Okay, what would be a nice color for the left side? Blue. Okay, done. Yeah, okay, it's there. Okay, good. Right side. Let's make it pink. There we go. So now I can do multiple colors, and one side's going fast, the other side's going slow. I can make it randomized, so it's jittery in a sense. We have had good results with randomization, and all the sessions now on this device are randomized, though you can design your own that are not randomized, but a lot of them are. The volume doesn't seem overly loud, does it? Can everybody hear that all right?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, there you go. I just brought up the volume here. Okay, we can bring up the, we can change, we could add the heartbeat, of course. Here's the heart rate. I got it set to 24 beats per minute. I can change the type of tones. I can turn them off. I can make binaural beats. There's a binaural beat. There's a monaural beat. I can turn them off. Can you hear the heartbeat playing? Yeah, there it is. I can hear the heartbeat. Okay, so we can do a lot of things with this. We can change the pitch. That's been a while. So yeah, we can do a lot of stuff. There you go. Now I got there we go. Now it's annoying as heck, right? So anyway, you can run live, and while you're doing live, you can do other things too. So live is happening. So one of the things is that when you're trying to tweak frequencies for a patient, let's say, it can be difficult kind of nailing it. So you can set a transition right here, and you can slow that down. So you can say, okay, I'm going to take the right one here, and I'm going to slow this down to like 3. And now it's going to take a little while to get there. And that just makes it easier to use my left cursor. You see there's a little bar down here, and now it actually has slowed it down to 3 on the right-hand side. Same thing with the left side. I can say, I'm going to take this up to 30. Or put someone into gamma at 40, let's say. And it'll take 5 seconds to get there, so it's not jittery. There it goes. And you can do other things too. You can do transitions. Like if I go to manual mode here and I decide to make a transition, let's make it longer. Let's make it 30 seconds. I could say, let's take the right and let's make it blue. And let's take the left and let's make it, let's say, yellow. Okay. And then I can say, okay, I don't want, and then I'm going to change this here, 3.2, 28. There we go. And I can record this. I can say, let's record this. So I can record the session. And when these changes come, it's going to record the whole thing. It'll save it as a file. You can put this into your editor later, and you can make your own session. Well, it'll make it anyway, whether you put the editor or not. But the editor, you can tweak it and make it nicer if you want to make some changes. So I'm going to say apply changes, and you're going to watch it change all by itself. So this is a nice way of putting your patients through nice gentle transitions and stuff without making it all jittery, and you'll see it'll change all on its own over a 30-second time course. And there's the status bar here showing it slowly changing, and we're recording it as well. So this is probably your best starting point for learning how this works. Here we are. The transition is almost done. 1 second left, 0 seconds left. Oh, so now it's all changed. Now I can say, okay, well, you know, let's just make both of these things 10 hertz or something as an ending frequency. Whoops, I subbed the transitions in there. I forgot to change it. Let's go to live mode. We'll make the transitions pretty sharp, pretty fast. There we go. So I'm bouncing everybody around. 10, make it everything, randomize them. There we go. And so now we've got this. It's just making the changes now. Now the changes are done. And now I can stop recording right here. I can save the session as demo, let's say. And I can say what it is. Well, it's a wacky session that will whatever I want to say. For fun. And then I can put it to a category. I can pick all these categories: body boost, mood boost, brain boost. And when it comes up on the screen, either when you pull it up here on the computer, or if you put it into your Premier, it'll come up under a category with your Premier. And I've got stuff in every single category, a bunch of things in research. I would call this custom, let's say, and I could save it, and there it is, custom demo. Probably have a few of those already. It's in recordings. Save it, and then I can install that into a Premier. So there you go. Okay, so that's one of the things we can do, is we can run it straight off of live. I'm going to put an end to live. Off. Yeah, we'll just stop. There we go. Now I'm going to share a little something else. So now I'm going to share Breathe. Breathe has really been fascinating, and there's quite a few clinicians using Breathe. Is Breathe here now? Okay, good. Let's bring this up into the middle. So here's Breathe. Now Breathe, you can see it on my screen. You can set up Breathe just as a breath pacer for when you're working during the day. And you can put your own pictures in here too. Pictures of your dog or your spouse or other things. You can pick a few different symbols if you like. And you can pace your breathing. You can also go into settings here and you can tweak your inhale, your exhale, your holds, stuff like this. Okay, but it'll also recognize an Eyeset. Because here's the problem with heart rate variability. The more anxious a person is, the more they struggle to breathe to a pacer, because they just can't handle a pacer, and they feel like they're being constrained, and they're trying to perform, and then their breathing often gets worse in highly anxious people. So we thought, well, let's do two things. Let's train them into an alpha state, although you can pick any frequency you like. But if we get them into this sort of dissociated state where we can settle down the whole HPA axis of the flight or fight and get them calm, get them relaxed, and instead of pacing them with a metronome or something that shows them to breathe in and to breathe out, we'll just change the colors of the lights. And with their eyes closed, they will see those colors change, even though their eyes are closed. It also gets louder as they breathe in, and it gets quieter as they breathe out. So you can say, just use this on your computer as it stands, or you can plug it into the Eyesets. And actually, you can put drop your own pictures in here too, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to, it'll automatically detect the Eyeset as soon as I plug it in. There we go. And it'll say start AVE, and I can run this. I got it set for 10 minutes right now, and it should be going. Here it goes. Here it is. So we're going to see this happen, and we're going to see that it's pink, because pink is more sympathetic. It's more of a sympathetic color. So that's your inspiration. And then it goes blue-green for your expiration. And with it on your eyes, even with your eyelids closed, you will see it, and you can hear it getting louder and quieter and brighter and dimmer as well. So those are also extra cues to tell you how to breathe. So when you get a Premier device, you don't just get the Premier, you get this really quite amazing heart rate variability app and the live app as well. And you can run it all off the computer, and you can make your own sessions. And you can record them, and then you can build whatever you want to build on top of that. So here we go. So I'm just going to stop this now. Everybody's probably got an idea how this works. We'll stop the AVE. And by the way, you can still go into settings here, and you can tweak all your stuff, you know, as we saw earlier. You can even change your colors if you wish. And you can also change the session type. So this is the mood booster. So that's a beta alpha. SMR, healthy alpha, Schumann, delta, sub-delta. We go all the way up to gamma on this. I happen to quite like the mood booster. That's kind of one of my favorite ones. Maybe that's why I'm so cheerful. Anyway, I'm going to stop the AVE now. And so there you go. So now you've seen how heart rate variability works. Okay, so let's stop sharing that. Now I'm going to show you the app where we design our actual sessions on. Share, here we go. And I'm going to go to David's studio and share that. So there we go. I'm screen sharing. So this is how we design our sessions. Okay, hope that goes away. There we go. And you can open sessions. You can, of course, you can see here that you can design all kinds of sessions on this. 50% cranial electrostim or the short pulse CES. You can do MET, microcurrent electrotherapy, for tendons and muscles that are strained in athletes. Typically is when we use that, but it can be anyone. You can do transcranial DC stim, CES on its own, and AVE. AVE normally defaults with CES operation anyway. And but anyway, yeah, you can do all these things. We can open a session. So I've got a lot of stuff in here already. And I can just go to AVE sessions, for instance, and I can pick from any one of these here. We got EMDR sessions in here, brain booster. John has been very pleased with the EMDR. He's quite a proponent of EMDR use.
John LeMay, is that who you're talking about?
John LeMay, yeah, John LeMay. And he has really liked the EMDR. And we have 5 EMDR options, depending on, we go left, right, with the tones and with the lights. And you can also use the EMDR with the view hole Eyesets, so you can see. Let's say you're working on a phobia or you're working on something and you need to see what you're doing, and you can still see the lights going left, right, and the tones are going left, right. So anyway, those are some of the things that you can do. We also have a whole bunch of Gansfeld sessions in here. People like Gansfeld. What would I pick here? I'm going to pick mood booster. Yeah, let's pick. I got pregame the golf. I'll actually slow the body down is what I should almost show you. This one's kind of interesting. Let's see now. It's in meditation. Because when you make a session, you can also have your own audio file. Could be stopping smoking, could be performance. You can bring your audio file in and pair it with your session, program it on the SD card, and every time they play the session, they will also hear you talking or the music or a hypnotic suggestion, whatever you want to do. And Slow the Body Down is designed to do that. Now, it'll take a little bit to open because it has to download the audio as well. Here it is. And the neat thing about the editor, of course, you're going to download. So here we have the time. There's a 10-second soft on where the lights get brighter for 10 seconds. We've got the AVE frequencies. Now, the little tilde means they're randomized, which I do nowadays because our research showed that randomizing is more effective than a fixed frequency. And so we're starting at roughly 12. It actually randomizes between 11 and 13. And then we're going to take them down to 10, and then 7 to 8, 7.8, I mean, and then 6.5 at the end where we're synchronized. We have the CES running at different frequencies. In this case, here's our pulse tone, 170 hertz. I got a heartbeat. And you can, if you inhale for 2 beats in and 2 beats out, you will get the heart rate variability effect. And people are often a little anxious when they start, so we run the heartbeat a little fast. So 2 beats in and 2 beats out. At 24 beats per minute down here, which happens at the 16-minute mark, that would be a 10-second breath cycle, 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. This is even a longer, this is a 12-second breath cycle. So we slow, the idea is to slow, in this case, to slow the breathing down at the same time, because the session is called Slow the Body Down. And the song that is in this session starts with a faster tempo and it gradually slows down in tempo. And there are studies that show if you have music that gradually slows down, a person will naturally relax with it at the same time. Now, what's cool is when you design a session, you can play it in real time right off of your computer screen, and it'll sound and be exactly the same in your Premiere when you play it. It'll be exactly the same. So we're going to play Slow the Body Down right now. Here we go. It's starting. I can actually slide through this, and it'll automatically knows where that audio should be, and it'll fast forward or rewind the audio, so it'll synchronize exactly as it will play in your Premiere. So you know when you're designing a session, and you can play it live right off your computer, as we can see here. Put on the headphones, and it'll be an exact, your Premiere will be an exact copy of what we're hearing and seeing right now. So this is really cool. It gives you, as a clinician, the ability to design perfectly as you'd like it to be for your client. So you hear the song playing in the background. So this song will actually play every time you run the Premiere. If you pick Slow the Body Down, that song will play. You can change the song if you wish, but that song will play. Right? So that's how it works. And again, I can go anywhere in this that I want. And I know exactly what's going to be doing at 18 minutes and 23 seconds. And I know what it'll be doing on the Premiere at the same exact time. So those are some of the cool things you can do with this. I'll just pause this and I'll show you a little something else too that we can do. Let's open up something else that is just blank. Let's see, I do brain booster. That's what I want. I was hoping to do the SMR beta, but I'm not. Oh, here we are. Here we go. Okay, SMR beta. So what we can do, I can also attach an audio file at any time. And we have a whole bunch of background audio files. And I can go here, audio files. And these are the ones we've got right now. So babbling brook, birds, brown noise, ocean waves, brown, pink, and white noise, thunderstorms, wind chimes, and so on. And you can add your own if you want. That's no problem at all. So here's wind chimes. I'll just actually, I really do like the ocean waves. That's one of my favorite ones. I'll just play the ocean waves. Sure, why not? Now you notice these are WAV files. They don't take MP3 files. They have to be WAV. We want the good quality. So there we go. So now the ocean waves is in there. And now if I play this one, go. Well, I don't have to click on that. Sorry. I'll just play it. There we go. Am I not hearing the ocean waves? Let's see what's going on with that. I don't think I hear the ocean waves. Play once. Oh. I should have said repeat. The ocean waves is like a 1 minute clip or a 2 minute clip. And so after 1 minute, it just stops. And you can also say synchronize, and it will make the session. It'll automatically adjust your session to fit your audio file. I don't want to do that here because it's only a 1 minute file. So there we go. Now we'll play it again. Now you hear the ocean waves. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. I know it's not too loud on my computer, and I can go in here too, and I can edit anything that I want. Let's see, I've got the pulse speeds going. I'm at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. That'll be this module here. So 100 is pulse speeds, 170 hertz. That's the pitch. 24 beats per minute. I got sine wave stimulation. I got blue and I got green. And I can say, well, you know, when we get to, oh, sorry, this is 12 minutes. I should be here. 2 minutes to 2, this is 2 minutes 34. So the next module is here. So here it is down here in the graph. You can see how some things are speeding up, some things are slowing down. And in this case, we're going to 17 hertz on the right side, 13 on the left. The blue one's the left, the right one is the red. And we can see how that's playing it. We can also grab this and we can change it. I can go in here, I can, sorry. I can't change that directly. I can go into this, see this is at 736, so I can go into this module timestamp right here. Now you notice it says no shift. I can say shift. If I say shift, what'll happen is if I drag this back or forwards, this module, the session will get longer or shorter at the same time. But I can also say no shift, and so now I can drag the module, but the session itself will stay the same length. So it gives you that ability to, see that there? To make all kinds of changes within your modules. Either you do it that way or you shift it and you shift the entire session. And here I can do that. See the whole session shifting? So you can do whatever you like with this. It's pretty wild. You can also copy and paste. I'm going to make this no shift for now, just to show you a little something here. So I can go in here. We are at I'm at 2 minutes 34. So I can easily stick 2 minutes 34 is this. That's this module right here. See, 202. Sorry, 710, and it highlights the module that I'm on. So here we go. Here's whoops. Get that. There you go. 710. So I could decide to stick a module after this that does something wild and crazy. I could say, you know, insert before or after, and I'll say after, and I'll say, okay, here we go. So let's now go here. Let's go to the left frequency. Let's pull that up to 30. And the right side, we could make slow, just for fun. We could make the colors different. We could say, well, let's go pink and let's go yellow. Okay, there we go. So we changed the colors. You see them up here, how they're going to change. So they will slowly morph between the 7, 10, and then they'll go to pink and yellow. Then they'll go back to blue and green. And they'll do it gradually. So I'm going to go here. No, here. I'm going to hit the play button, and then we're going to move into this module down here. And there we go. I can make that a little brighter maybe. Here we go. Here. Motion waves playing. Is that almost too bright? It's kind of watching out, isn't it? If I stick it right in there, that'll help even better. Hard to say. Okay, so over the next little bit, it's slowly it's gonna start to speed up like mad. 259. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at 3. I'm at 3. I thought I started this thing at 7. Well, let's drag it over to 7. That's what I want, or 8. See this effect. 710. Whoops, 8. Okay, here we go. Let's go right about here. 7.3, 7.11. And what I should have probably have done is I should have taken this one here, and I should have maybe dragged that back a little bit so it does this faster. And it'll calculate it automatically. We'll take it back again. Here we go. And then it's going to take off. On one side, 31 on the left, 4.5 on the right. It's going to change colors. You see it changing the colors? No, that white one is kind of washed out. No, it's no better back there, is it? There we go. You can see the pink now. And pink and yellow. And then when it gets there, it'll switch back to blue and green. As it's going through. We're at 8 minutes right now. This will max out at 8:39. 31. And 4.5. So you get the idea of how it works. So you see the yellow really slowing down now. It's moving at high speed on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, I mean, and so on. And we could also have it change tones while it's going through it. Now, I could have had it switch to binaural beats at the next module, and so on. So This is all the support kind of software we have for this device that just allows you, clinically to do anything you want. And it's quite amazing what you can do. I can change that tone. I can remove this audio file. I can attach a new one. Put the birds on, or the wind chimes. Let's try to. Well, I gotta say the birds are quite nice. Let's do the birds. Now I need to say, I'll say repeat. Let's just drag this back to the start, or somewhere's back here. Say go. The birds aren't particularly loud on my computer. I can hear them though. Can you guys hear them?
I hear them faintly. And
Yeah.
Dave, can you also explain the rationale to the changes that you're making? Like, why would somebody want to make these changes?
Yeah, well, you may want to custom design a session for someone. Take our normal template of sessions that we've got quite a few. I think for audiovisual we have 70 or almost 70, and you can custom for someone. That's the whole idea, right? And then you can install them in the device, and you can play them right on the screen in real time. So you could be recording an EEG or looking at peripheral biofeedback measures or other things, or having them do a cognitive task, see how they're performing. Yeah, if you're not real crazy about it, you can tweak it. And when you get it how you like it, then you just download it into their device, and they can take it home and use it at home. Now, one of the reasons why it's good to take the device home is because, as you know, therapy can be very labor intensive, both for you and for your patient. And when you look at neurofeedback, for instance, 40 sessions typically at $150 a session, and your patient is suddenly paying, $6,000 for neurofeedback. And they often can take several sessions before they start to feel an effect. It's often not immediate. And you don't want to lose your patient. You want them to have an experience pretty quick, or you're going to lose them as a patient. If you use entrainment, they typically will have a response almost immediately, often the same session. They will feel quite different than when they started. I use the SCL90 scale all the time, and people will come in. 50 is the norm on the SCL90, and every 10 points is a standard deviation off the norm for anxiety, stress, depression, somatization, OCD. There's 6 measures, I think. Maybe there's 8. Anyway, I use that as sort of a general behavioral marker when they come in, and they may score 100, be 5 standard deviations higher than the norm. And after a session of entrainment, they're scoring 20. They feel so relaxed and so different and so mellow. And you want them to have that kind of an effect right off the bat, because the odds of keeping them as a patient are going to improve greatly. Also, the more psychological cognitive challenges a patient has, the less they can afford clinical interventions. How many of you can recite hundreds of times when your patients could not afford therapy? Right? It happens all the time. They can afford some of it, so you have to give them discounted rates because you don't want them suffering, so you give them discounted rates. And almost all clinicians have their preferred rates and their discounted rates for those who can't afford it. Well, if they can take the gear home and report back to you every few weeks, let's say, well, now you can cut their costs down to like 1/5. So what might be a $5,000 investment for therapy is now a $1,000 investment for therapy. And a whole lot more people can afford 1,000 than those who can afford 5,000, especially if they notice the difference right off the bat. And we've got people with Parkinson's. We've been working with Alzheimer's here and there. We've got all kinds of kids with ADHD, general stress and anxiety. We've got all kinds of things. People use this for all kinds of reasons. And yeah, and it's nice if it's affordable. And when Michael Joyce was using it in the schools, he also had a 10-station multiple system, and you could put 10 at a time in, and you could run 10 kids at a time and make it very affordable. With this here, you can actually get a patch-out box off your USB port. You could get like a 4-port USB strip or 10-port USB strip, and you could plug 10 lights and 10 headphones all in at once and do 10 people at a time, if you wish. You can even plug, well, you can get 2 people on a Premiere, but off the computer, yeah, you could literally port 10 Spectrum Eyesets. You get an amplifier box for 10 headphones and plug in 10 people on headphones and do a group if you wish. So I'm just going to go back here and I'm going to, we're not going to save this, that's for sure.
Dave, can I ask a question? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Yeah, it's all good.
You know what's interesting, Dave? Just listening to the sound, I was
Yep.
already getting some sort of relaxation. Isn't that interesting? Now, what I meant to ask is, so if you send the, what do you call them, the spectrums to the client, and you send them the app, they can play it from their own laptops.
They could. Yeah. I kind of recommend they have a machine. I think it's better not having a computer around, but I think because with a machine, they can lay down in bed. It's
Right.
more relaxing. They don't have any sort of conditioned responses with frustrating computers.
Yes.
It's very simple to operate compared to a computer. But yeah, you can do that. I play it off my laptop lots,
Okay.
when I'm demoing it and stuff. Yeah.
Dave, I think you're a genius, but tell us, when you're doing the changes live, what would be the rationale for the changes you're doing? Because there's a lot of stuff you can do in there, right?
I mean, like right here,
Yeah, you're
what I
changing
just
up
did
and down and
today.
stuff. Yeah, like that. Yeah, there's a rationale for that, right?
Like this change here. There was no rationale. I was just doing it for the sake of showing you how you can change a session.
No, I understand that. Yes, yes. But when you go ahead and do some changes, what sort of effect,
Oh, well, of course, we might want to do faster frequencies for cognition, slower frequencies for relaxation. You may find, like, for instance, one of the issues, like, say, that we had with kids, young kids, and I'll just pull this up here. No, we won't save that. AVE sessions. You can see I got all these different types of sessions in there. Let's go to the where's the one here for ADHD study, the one that was published with Michael Joyce in the Journal of Neurotherapy. So you'll see down here how wild and crazy this session is. It goes up, it goes down, it goes SMR beta, and we cover different frequencies of SMR and beta because entrainment inhibits the half frequency of stimulation. So we don't know when a child comes in if they're going to have alpha peaking at 7 or 7.5 or maybe 8 or 8.5. So we hit them with all these different frequencies. Right here, we're hitting them with 13 and 17. So we inhibit 6.5 and 7.5. Then we inhibit, now we're at 13.5 and 18. And it's randomized as well. So that gives us a variety of inhibits. And we slowly keep bringing it up until we're at 14 and 20. So we're inhibiting at 7 and 10, right? And then we go to alpha, but we have these sharp transitions because ADHD kids, you need that to keep them engaged. Otherwise, they'll start goofing around and they'll start playing with stuff and they'll be playing with their glasses, and then you kind of lost them, right? You want to keep them on the gear. So with younger kids, the sharp transitions work well because it changes so abruptly. They go like, whoa, and then they get this whole new visual, this whole new audio, and they're like, wow, and then they're engaged. And then they will trance out on you. They'll dissociate and trance out on you. When they do that, which takes 5 or 6 minutes, well, then you got them for the rest of the session. But if you don't engage them, they won't dissociate and they'll start to goof around, and then you're struggling with them. I did a study with this one school, just as a little side note, and the school bought all these beautiful reclining easy chairs. And we hooked up all these kids, 10 kids, maybe it was 6, anyway, to all these reclining chairs. You know what the kids did? Well, there's the levers. The kids are going back and forth the whole time. Like, well, that's not going to work so well, right? So anyway, so that's what we do here, and that's why you see these sharp transitions, and it's to keep them popping them with some new visuals to keep them engaged and keep them associated. If you
Dave-
look
Dave,
at,
hey, Dave, can I say something?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, back when I was in the schools, I had unlimited students. They were coming in, I could have, 15, 20 a day. And so when I started the randomization stuff, it was really with the autistic kids. I had one child that was extremely, a savant, but extremely active and hyper. And back in the Excel days, I could mess with it, in session, much like you can do now. And when I found that I could get him disassociated early on, I felt like I really had something. And I started them all out at 7-8. I went down to 4-8 and 5-2, and he was a goner. And that was kind of the gold standard from that point on. With all of them, I started for about 3 weeks. I haven't run that program, and that was it. It just, I've had parents who said that's the only program they ever use. It just, I've got a lot of stories relative to the parents in that 7-8 and 5-2 randomization program. That, and I guess when I was doing the 10 user unit, I had 10 kids in there at a time, and I put the most active ones closest to me. And after about several days, they were all out, totally disassociated. Didn't have any problems with them after that, in terms of activity or wiggling around or anything like that. That was, so the lower frequencies, we say, hey, the kids, they have too much theta. I think they're all sleep deprived, and they just kind of thrived at that level. And then after that, then I could kind of, individualize if I needed to go to other frequencies. But that was my experience with it. I had the advantage of having all those kids and to work with, and they taught me, just what I needed to do with regard to programming the device. So anyway, for what it's worth.
Sorry,
Yeah,
this is
sure.
so rich, guys. Can I just ask 2 more questions, please, Dave and Michael? Sorry to interrupt. It's so important. Dave, you know what, I work with EEG and stuff, so I can find out an alpha peak frequency, for example, so that I could adjust for that individual. Imagine I find they have an 8 alpha peak hertz, right? I could adjust to 8 hertz. That's one question.
You could. I'm going to suggest, though, that the frequency, the more we do, the less important the frequency actually is.
All right.
For example, like when entrainment was first discovered, it was the only thing they knew was frequency. So everything was about the frequency. Then they discovered cerebral blood flow, and they discovered that cerebral blood flow actually peaks at about 7.88 hertz. Now that's the most effective frequency for driving up cerebral blood flow. And then there was heat shock protein, and then there's all the SMR beta stuff, or endorphins and that. Then lactate and ATP, which is stimulated over a fairly broad range. Now we're experimenting with being able to pump cerebral spinal fluid. And this is really fascinating stuff. I just put my first Parkinson's client on it yesterday. He's already done fairly well using the SMR beta entrainment. His handwriting's improved. He can type again. He can walk okay. His fog is lifted, but we got him on the pump now because we think the pump is going to do some amazing things. I can explain how the pump works later. So anyway, but you can design the session to fit into their schedule, how much time they have the day. You keep them dissociated. You can work with actual frequencies if you think the frequency is best, or you can do other things. And here's an example. I used to have a lot of talks with Herschel Tumum when he was alive, and he had the hemoencephalograph. So he would send a red beam into the brain, and then you could read cerebral blood flow off a sensor just a few inches away. He was using this for a lot of it for ADHD, but also for dementia and stuff. And so we had a lot of discussions about entrainment and stuff. And we thought, well, so anyway, we were at a conference, an ISNR conference, and I put a person on and he had his encephalograph, and we drove up their cerebral blood flow. I think it was 15% in 10 minutes. And he says, like, wow, that's an hour session for him to do it. And we did it automatically. And then just by dumb luck, like 2 weeks later, I had a college student, and this college student was dropping out of, or was considering dropping out of college. She was studying till 3 o'clock in the morning. She was exhausted. She couldn't read 2 paragraphs without fogging out. I ran an EEG on her. Her peak was 8 hertz. 3.5 standard deviations high at 8 hertz. Eyes closed and almost the same on eyes open. So I thought, well, rather than give her a beta session or maybe a 16 hertz to try to cancel that 8, why don't I give her 8 hertz, since we know that that has a maximal impact on cerebral blood flow, and cerebral blood flow is highly the perfusion of cerebral blood flow is highly correlated with your peak alpha frequency. So I gave her on a frequency model, like if you're looking at neurofeedback, I gave her exactly what she should not have. But from a cerebral blood flow model, I gave her exactly what she should have. So we ran her for 20 minutes. She went from 3.5 standard deviations high to a 0.5 standard deviation high when we did our recording, which was about 30 minutes. We gave her a 10-minute break before we did or 15-minute break before we did the recording. And she could read 10 pages now before she started to fog. So those are some reasons why you don't necessarily want to work with frequency. But then there can be other things, like the study that Michael and I had done with the ADHD kids, where we did use the frequency model primarily, and well, we had very good results. So you might want to stick with the research. And there's more research done on frequency model than on non-frequency models than other models, right? But here's another example here. So you saw how the ADHD one went, where we went sharp transitions, SMR beta, then alpha, SMR beta and alpha with sharp transitions to keep kids engaged. But as people, get older, they don't like those sharp transitions. They find them extremely annoying and kind of agitating. So we still do the SMR beta for older people with dementias, with maybe late diagnosis of ADHD or cognitive decline. And we've done a big study with Christine Palmquist on a seniors population now with with Tom Budzinski. And here we're still doing SMR beta, but now you can see the transitions are gentle. And then we go down to alpha again, and then SMR beta and alpha. Same as we did with ADHD, but they're gentle now. So we're not pounding them because they just did not like those. So there's a subjective experience to entrainment, not just a physiological experience, but a subjective experience as well. So you may want to tweak your frequencies partly just for that subjective experience, keep them engaged and so on, right? So those are the other reasons why you might want to tweak things. And sometimes we're just experimenting. Let me show you here the CFS cerebral spinal fluid, the circulation one. And I'm using the 12 right now for myself. And last year I caught a really bad cold that lasted 10 weeks, and I lost all my smell. I couldn't smell a thing. And I'd been using entrainment, of course, over the last year, never got my smell back. And then I started reading the research on the importance of pumping cerebral spinal fluid. And so I developed this session here just to do that. And by the second session, which was I had this designed about December 15th is when I had my first one designed. And I doubled my smell. I got half my smell back. And I'm about 30 sessions in now, and I've got all my smell back. I can smell everything now. And not all the odors are pleasant, I have found out, including my own, which I kind of forgot. But I'm so happy that I can smell stuff, like I could not before for the last year. And the way the cerebral spinal fluid works is a study was done last year. Now, when entrainment turns on, it drives up cerebral blood flow. And so the brain has to dump cerebral spinal fluid to maintain intracranial pressure. But when you shut the stimulation off and the cerebral blood flow goes down, the brain has to bring in cerebral spinal fluid to maintain the pressure again. Well, there's research on Parkinson's, on chronic traumatic encephalopathy, like in athletes, concussion people, post-concussion syndrome, Parkinson's, MS. All these people have got impairments in cerebral spinal fluid circulation. Some of it is tied to poor sleep because delta waves, large delta waves, drive astrocytes to dump all the proteins and waste into the ventricles, which dump it into the lymph. They call it the glymphatic system, for glia lymphatic system. And most people with these situations don't sleep well. That's one of the main symptoms of CTE, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and so on. They don't sleep, and MS, they don't sleep well. And they're not getting that exchange of cerebral spinal fluid. And because the brain is filling up with all this debris, it impairs their sleep more so. So if we can pump it and clean it up, we can then reestablish that whole brain system. So what these guys did is they found that 15 seconds of stimulation maxed out the cerebral blood flow. And then if they shut it off, there was, of course, a crash in cerebral blood flow. And 15 seconds on and 15 seconds off, they looked at all kinds of different time periods, but 15 seconds on and 15 seconds off produced the maximum exchange of cerebral spinal fluid. So, I mean, but that's all they did. They didn't connect the dots clinically. I saw the clinical application right away. I designed this. And that's what we're seeing down here. You can see all these modules are happening. So we run it for about a minute. And at a minute 14, a minute 01, I shut off the brightness. I shut off the tones. They're off right here. You can see this, they're off. And I shut them off for 15 seconds. But you'll notice I take 2 seconds to dim the lights and the volume down because I don't want to just bang, hit them. It's not that pleasant if things turn on and off instantly like that when you're in a semi-dissociated state. So I have a 2 second transition. Then I go for 15 seconds and I have a 2 second transition to bring up the lights from 0% to 100 and the tones. And that's the intensity and the brightness here. Bring them back up. I turn on the tone. And so we're turning on and off every 15 seconds. And you can see it throughout the this whole session. But the beauty of having all of my sessions now, because before they were all in the memory of the machine, and the machine only has so much memory. So the beauty of having it on a 32 gigabyte SD card is I can make a session with hundreds of modules. I'm not sure how many modules this session has, but you can see that it's a lot. It's a 20-minute long session, and it has got a lot of modules. What's beautiful about this editor is I can take a whole section of modules, let's say like right here, and this is actually what I did, and I can do a copy and paste, and I can just boom, 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 duplicate the session all the way down. So I can write the first couple of minutes and then boom, boom, boom. So instead of writing literally 1,000 lines, I just copy and paste them all. And I can make some edits here and there to keep the randomization going a little bit if I wish. I can also go into edit mode here, and I can, let me just get out of this. I can go in, I can edit. I can copy, sorry. Let's copy the frequencies. No, I'm not doing this right. Edit. Let's copy. Copy. And I can paste just one value. Let's say I want to just change all the left eye or only all the right eye or just the heart rate. I can go and I can go here. I can go say I'm going to change just one of those things, and I can right now copy this 12 hertz, and I can say, yeah, I want this 12 hertz down here, and I want to copy it in for 40 modules, and I can literally go shift, highlight all of this, and then I can go, okay, that's paste, and change everything that's on the left side, or the heartbeat. I can turn the heartbeat off for everything for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, part of the session, and turn it back on again. So it gives you the ability to paste dozens and dozens of modules, or even hundreds of modules in one go. So the editing of the editor is amazing. What we can do, and quickly as well. So that has allowed me to build some of these wild sessions here, like this CF sick. But I can also show you what the let's see, where's my session with this with the CES? Is that in the CES mode? It should be here too, because I did pair it with the oh, here we go, pain and mood. So I'd say a lot of people, again, with severe pain, chronic pain, have depression. So I was able to take all these CES transitions. Here they are. And there's a lot of them. I'm changing them every 4 seconds, I believe. 103, 104, 107, 108, 111, 12. They're changing a lot. I know I can zoom in on this. How do I do that? There's a way of zooming in. Oh, I shouldn't do it. The graph is very slow. There's so many things in that graph. It'll choke itself if I try to change it. I'll leave it be. But this session here as well, crap, now it's updating. You can see here, I mean, I'm only at 141 and I've already got a lot of modules. Well, here it goes. Yeah, okay, I was zooming in. Okay, good. And here we go. So yeah, so there's a lot in there, and I can change the colors of the lights. You can see how they're fading as well. And that's pretty neat too. Like I can start off here. I can say, okay, on this module, I've got blue and green, and I can go down here. Whoops, let's grab, oh no, don't tell me it's gonna take a while to change. Give me a sec. Yeah, this is a very intensive session, so it takes so now I'm at green and whatever that is, light green, or green and yellow. So I can say, I can click on this green and yellow. I can go to tools. I can say from that module way at the start, this 200 modules down, I can just say ramp, and it'll slowly, I can set the colors here and the colors there, and it'll do all the intermediate colors and all the intermediate frequencies if I want, and everything. It'll calculate it all across all the modules automatically. And so that is super nice to have. Any questions about programming and live or breeze, or before I just move on to the device itself?
I have a question. Are you hearing it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, and I'm not a clinician. I mean, I have a strong background, but I'm not a clinician that uses neurofeedback or anything. I'm a physical therapist, but I have a master's in psych. So there's a lot I don't follow that other people might. But am I to understand this, David's studio does not come with the device? Is that true?
No. Yeah, that's extra.
Okay.
We charge 95 for it normally. Yeah. You probably don't need it. Now, if you have something you want that's special, you can ask me to program it for you. I charge $40 to program people's custom sessions. And then we can just send you the file. We email it to you. It'll be on your computer. You take the SD card up. Now it's a microSD, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you need either a programmer or one of these little adapter things. If you've got an SD slot on your computer, if you don't, you need to get a little USB adapter, and you just plug in and you put it on your card, and then the machine will see it.
So you're going to go now into what you can do with the device alone. Is that
correct?
Yeah.
So on the device, of course, you can do everything that's programmed into it. And all this stuff is already in it. So you can already do just a huge amount of things that is just amazing what you can do.
You just can't create your own programs.
Yeah, even on the CES, there's experimentation with what they call pink, brown, and white noise, e-noise. So it's electro stim noise, and we have got that in here now too. Let's pull up the CES sessions. I can go to no, they're not here. I've got them. Maybe they're in progress. Yeah, brown noise, for instance, here, or I'll go to white noise. Now, this is white noise based not on sound, like which is in sound, white noise. In audio, white noise is pink noise is and brown noise is kind of what they sound like. But E noise is a little different. And if we pull this up as E noise, it gets pretty crazy. And we use a 50% duty cycle. And so you get a chopping effect of, let me just spread this out a bit. So this is an example. I could show you a PowerPoint of what that looks like, but the CES is wildly random. Look at all these frequencies, 37, 151, 115, 58. They're all these random frequencies all the way through. And that'll be on your ear clips, right? On your ears. And there's some really cool stuff that is being done with people who are post-concussion, giving them CES noise and stimulating that brain. So yeah, we've got that all built in now, and it's kind of wild. All the options, the combinations and permutations you get out of this. But meanwhile, I'm going to close this down now, and I'll stop sharing, and I'll show a little more about the device itself.
Jeff, just one thing. In my mind, clinical mind, if you say dissociation, I mean, I freak out. But you talk about a healthy dissociation. Can you tell us a bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm not
And
talking
also,
about dissociation on like in a meditative way, where you just drift into kind of a trance, and you're very relaxed, you're very peaceful. It really does shut down the HPA axis.
Okay.
And we can take people they're going through panic, and we can have them immediately relaxed. Yeah, so it's that kind of dissociation. It's in a good way, not like the pathological types. Yes, that's good. You're happy?
Very happy.
Have you used the gear on yourself?
Not yet. I was waiting to talk to you. I have it here. I'm very excited about that. This is excellent. But where do I start? But I'll keep listening.
But yeah, so when I use it, we always want to dissociate. We want the kids to dissociate. We want everybody to dissociate, because that shuts off the thinking and the awareness part. Now, unless we're using the view hole Eyesets and they're engaging on a task where we don't want them to dissociate. Other than that, we want them to just drift out. And I run it. I know I've had a good session. When I played that session and I wake up an hour later, then I just feel so good after I do that. I know that I had a good session. What was your exact question, Antonio?
Yes, I was. You answered it. It's just in clinical terms, we hear the word dissociation. It has terrible connotations, but you explained it. It's more of a meditation-like. So I'm very clear now.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
So we'll move on to the device itself. So as you know, all those sessions are in this device, and there's a lot of them. And so power on. There's also a rechargeable battery in here, a lithium battery, and it will run about 40 hours on electrostim and about 30 hours if you do audiovisual with electro. So you get a lot of runtime off this battery, and just plug it into the USB and you can charge it up. I wonder why that little hand is on my screen. I must have put it there. It's in my face. There it goes. That's better. So when we do fire it up, it's right now mine says previously used sessions, because I've been running sessions on it. So as soon as you start to run a session, it makes a category called previously used, so you can access them fast. And I'm using the pump. I used it this morning because improving my smell maybe even more. I do like the pump. And I think we're going to see some pretty good success with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and stuff like that with the pump, but we haven't done it really yet. I'm going to talk to John when we're done here. He's going to tell me his latest findings.
Can you please go back one, Dave, to see where we get the CSF pumping sessions? You go back one. Is it in session library?
Yeah, it's in the session library. So if you go to the session library, here it is, and you go to session library, click on that session library. You will see 57. I got 57 AVE sessions on mine. You might not have quite that same number, but click on the check mark.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a whole bunch of categories will come out.
Yeah.
There's 5 relaxation sessions, meditation, sleep, body booster, right? You see that? I don't know if you
Mood
guys can
booster.
see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mood booster and so on. And we go through all the different performance, energize, EMDR, gamma, Gansfeld, research. 7 sessions in research. Hit the check mark. And now you can see brown noise and gamma, pain and mood booster. That's the cranial electric stim one that goes from 2 hertz to 100. Pain and relaxation, pink noise, the SMR CSF pump. That's at 12 hertz. We also have one that's, I think I have another pump in gamma. I should have another pump. Yeah, here we go. The gamma. We have the CSF pump and pain, right? That one too, yeah. And I think I've got a gamma one. If I scroll down far enough, I think I'll find it. Pink noise and gamma. See, there you go. Here's the pump here, and
Yeah.
the SMR, CSF. So anyway, the pumps are in there.
Yeah.
I didn't like the gamma one. Now, this is a good example of subjectiveness. I started with the gamma one, my first 3 or 4 sessions, but it really has a machine sound when it's running at 40 hertz. It's going. It just has this machine sound. It just grated on my nerves. Even though my smell was improving, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So then I came out with the 12 hertz one, which I find is very pleasant, and it knocks me right out. Now, when you go to run your pump, you're going to also want to turn on. Probably a sound. When everything shuts off on the pump, we want to have some continuity, right? So that you don't think the session is shut off. So the heartbeat plays. So you get this ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump. But I also added the babbling brook, which is on the device. And so you can go to your device and you can add the babbling brook. So here's an example here. I've got this SMR. Well, I just picked some session at random here. Here we go. Pain and relaxation. So there's one here. Pain and relaxation.
So hang on.
Before you run it, so don't run it. Just have it up. Have something up on your screen. Doesn't matter what. Pull up the SMR one if you want. I'm going to press and hold. Now, when you see this here, right down here, it says start. But then there's also the check mark is next to this little arrow and 3 lines. There's a word for that, which my tech told me. I've never heard of this before, but it's a symbol for pressing and holding. And it actually has a name, go figure. Only techs would do that. But anyway, so you press and hold. And now you can check stuff. So now I press and hold. Now it says audio file. And I've got none. So I give it another little press, a little short press on the check mark. Now it highlights the audio, the none. It highlighted that word none. Now I can scroll down and I've got babbling brook, I've got birds, brown noise. And brown noise is audio brown noise. So it's a sound, ocean waves, pink noise, white noise, thunderstorms, wind chimes, and so on. So I like the babbling brook. That's my favorite. And you click this. You click the check mark, and now babbling brook is in there. But now you can still scroll down more, and it says audio file. And I've got it set to 50%. So you can make that audio louder or quieter. Like the ocean waves are quite loud, and I take them down to about 20%, or they're so loud, they're too loud, and I can hardly hear the tones. The babbling brook is quite quiet, so I leave it at 50%. I just have the beautiful little brook. So you can adjust that overlay, your overlay audio volume. You can also scroll down and you can do tone type, which is, your pulse beats or your binaural beats. If I go to tone type and I click the check mark shortly, I can go tone type default. The word default means what's been programmed in the device, whatever it is, whether it's pulse tones or binaural beats or mono beats. Default means what we have programmed in there. But if you don't like what we've programmed in there, you can go to pulse. Well, pulse is what we program. You can go mono, binaural, or turn them off if you want to even turn them off. So I just leave it at, of course, default because That's what I'm going to be. To go back in your menu, give the power button a short press. And that'll take you back in your menu. And then you can go down to pitch. That's your pitch. Heartbeat, tone, heart mix. So if your heartbeat is too loud and you want it quieter, you can bring the heartbeat quieter than the pulse tones, or you can make it louder than the pulse tones. So you've got a lot of options on this. You can even change the shape of your lights, sine waves versus what we call classic waves or triangle waves of the lights themselves. You can change your color. If you don't want the default color that we've programmed in, you can change your own colors. And here you've got a choice of 16 colors on the device. On the studio, the programming software, you can pick like 10,000 colors on the studio software if you want to get really, really precise on the color you're going to pick. On the device, so you can pick up anything of 16 colors. Okay, so yeah, left color, right color, electrostim type. You want the short pulse or the 50% pulse. Now the 50% pulse can really make your head spin. It does a lot of cool things, but it's a 50% pulse. So if you are on at 10 hertz, which is 100 milliseconds, you literally have a pulse at 50 milliseconds on and 50 milliseconds off. That is a long pulse. But if you randomize both sides with different frequencies, if they're both positive, there's no pulse. If they're both negative, there's no pulse. There's only a pulse if there's one's plus and one's minus. So if you have them switching randomly, and this is how I'm doing my brown, pink, and white E-noise, is I have them running randomly all over the place. And you're getting only, it's kind of like, it's really like a biphasic AND gate. That's the best way I can explain it. For those of you who understand gates, this is a biphasic AND gate. Between the two sides, you only get stim when they're different. And because they're all random, so I've programmed it, some of your pulse widths will be, a few microseconds, and some will be a few milliseconds, some will be in between. And you get just a huge mishmash of frequencies and in the brain, which is highly stimulating for the brain. So you may want to go to that 50%. Well, the ones that I've programmed in for noise are automatically at 50%. But all I'm saying is you can change that from a standard short pulse, which is about a half a millisecond, to a 50% duty cycle pulse. But it can hit you hard, the 50% one, if it's at a fixed frequency. It's pretty intense. Some people love it and some people don't like it. It depends on who you are. There are those who their head starts to spin and they go, "Oh my God, I feel like I just drank a Mickey of vodka. I hate it. And others go, "Whoa, I feel like I just drank a Mickey of vodka." And they love it. So play with them and find out what you like. And every patient will be different.
But the session you have already on the list, are those, let's say in that sense, milder? So it doesn't really make, the ones you have listed, are those somehow milder so you don't scare your patients? Or do you need to adjust?
Well, if you go to the CES section itself, you can see the ones that are 50%. They will be labeled. But I don't have any 50% ones mixed in with the audio-visual, unless it's the white, brown, and pink noise, E-noise. But that's a different arrangement. You will never feel that 50% effect because it's like an AND gate between the two pulses on the left side and the right side.
So on the AVE sessions, it's not an issue.
That's correct.
On the AVE,
not
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No.
Yeah, I found that if you get them to knock out early, that's why I did that 3 weeks at the 4, 8, and 5.2. And after that, they knock out, and then you can take them anywhere because they're out.
True. Yeah, true. I mean, people are very.
It worked with the kids. It worked with the adults. They get in the thing, they're out, and then I can just take them anywhere. So that was been my
once
experience.
People have dissociated in that way, they don't care. They don't care what you do to them too much.
No.
That is true. No, that is true. Yeah, I know you don't like that word dissociated, but that's the best I got.
Healthy dissociation.
Yeah, it's yeah, in a meditative way. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're just
No, I
they're
know.
just so relaxed. They just don't care anymore. That is so true. And that's another way you can tell that people are letting go of that vigilance and just relaxing. So anyway, I'm just trying to figure out where I've got the 50% ones. Oh, I'm in the wrong category. CES, here we go. So CES, yeah, we've got a CES category. Then we have the 50% CES category if you want to experiment with them. Yeah, so just scroll down when you get in your session library, it goes AVE, the CES, 50% CES, and TDCS and stuff like that. Well, the TDCS is only activated if you buy the TDCS option with the device. And for non-clinicians, we like them to write a quiz before we sell them the TDCS to make sure they have some understanding of current density and also brain functions. We don't get into Broadband areas, but we do show the parts of the brain and kind of what you'll affect under there if you use it. Okay, so the machine is
I have
pretty
a
easy
question.
to use. Yeah.
Okay, so for personal use for the non-clinician, Marianne has answered some of my questions, but how much do you expect? Like, are you aiming, you're probably aiming primarily to the clinical audience and then for them to supervise people using it for personal use, but how much do you anticipate that this can be meaningfully marketed to the non-clinician who is for someone who's not working with a clinician for
Yeah,
personal use?
right now I'm basically, of course, doing this from a clinical perspective because almost everybody are right now in this group are clinicians. But no, we sell all kinds to non-clinicians too, and clinicians sell, of course, a lot of gear to their patients. And also, like there have been studies that have been showing that when you use entrainment after workouts, especially, that it seems to dissipate the lactic acid and the soreness goes away a lot quicker. There's also, we've used this a lot for mental games, improving one's mental game. In fact, we've had, we've used it on a lot of football players with concussions, and Becky Basham has done dozens of $1 million salary football players who were living in the streets when she got to them and got them functional again. Not that they should be playing football ever again, but at least got them functional and got them back into a job and by getting the brain booted up. And I have a 90-minute lecture on our website about thalamocortical disconnect. And it's a post-inflammatory condition that shuts down the thalamus, and they can't make alpha waves, they can't make delta waves. In my population that I've looked at for the last 10 years, they're hoarders, counters, ritualists, door knockers, tappers, anorexics, and committed substance abusers. And it's amazing what we've done with these guys. Sometimes in as little as 15 minutes, we fire up their all their alpha. These are flatline guys. They're low voltage, choppy, very low voltage. They can't make alpha waves for trying. And we get them completely booted up, sometimes in 15 minutes. And I've got a 90-minute lecture on our website. If you want that link, Marianne can get that to you. It's been really successful. Anyway, Becky has been treating a lot of NFL football players with our gear just for that. And we think that the pump now might, because not all of them respond. Most do, like 80% do, but not all do. So I do want to start experimenting with the spinal fluid pump on the guys who don't respond, because these are the types of guys who can't make delta waves or alpha waves. The thalamus seems to be gated off. They have a very high DC voltage on their scalp, -4 millivolts, not microvolts, but millivolts on their scalps. And they probably have very dirty brains. And we need to get that cerebral spinal fluid circulating again to get them cleaned up. Then they're going to start sleeping better too. So anyway, we're looking into that. But anyway, Becky has done a lot of work. Yes, she couldn't be on today. But she is one of our scientific advisors, along with John LeMay. And
but again, that's somebody giving directions to somebody. So it's like she's supervising them, not maybe every individual.
In her case, yes, because these guys are severe, right?
right.
But a
But
lot
what
of
I
people,
mean is, without anybody directing a non-clinician for personal use, can they
Yeah.
take the educational material you provide currently, the manual, and make selections based upon their needs or their issues? Is the
well,
question.
yeah,
How,
well, the sessions are categorized, right? So for the average person, you know, because we've been selling these for 40 years, these
I've
machines,
been
right?
using the one,
Yeah.
the David Delight Pro.
Yeah, and these are all categorized. In fact, we've got a lot of categories. We have 5 categories in the Delight Pros. And these things have like 20 categories. So it's pretty easy to see the category. I got to want to sharpen my mind. I'm getting old and I'm feeling a little slow. Well, there's the boosters, the brain boosters, or I'm feeling moody for whatever reason. I'm feeling kind of, I'm necessarily not going to say necessarily depressed. There's a clinical side to depression where they should be seeing, you know, therapists. But a lot of people, their mood may be just be kind of low and it's kind of off, and they're just feeling kind of down. They can use the mood booster, or they just want to be happier. We sell a lot of gear for people who just want to improve their performance.
But
They're
I guess
already
I mean, I know what it's like using the Delight Pro and making selections, but this has so many more sophisticated permutations
Yeah.
to how you might select it. I mean,
It does. But here's what you can do too. And this is what clinicians do as well. I mean, a lot of clinicians don't want to have 100 selections on the device. So when they get the gear, they take that SD card, they plug it into the computer, they copy everything onto the computer, onto a folder, and then they delete everything on the card except one session or 2 sessions. And that's what they do. And that's all they can, that's all. They pull up the menu, there's just 2 options. That's it. Or just one
also,
option.
the other thing I would recommend, and I realize it may take time because you've got to focus on the clinicians first. But in addition to whatever you put in print, like in the manual, you could record audio session or you know, like this. I mean, it could be either in a live seminar or just a recording that people would have access to
Sure.
for instruction in the basic use with just the Premiere, with just the device.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of what this is, and you know, right here. This is our 3rd one now too, so people can go back and watch these. But we could make just a video only on how to use the device without being sort of a Zoom group, right?
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
complicated to just read it.
No, I get it. Yeah, nothing like seeing a person actually pushing the buttons and making it happen. I understand.
And I mean, I only noticed an email announcing this session, but are the links for the other ones available as well as will this link be available?
I believe so, Marianne.
Yeah, they're on our YouTube channel. So it's Mind Alive
okay.
Inc. on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and all my lectures are on YouTube as well.
Yeah,
I've got
I've
lectures on
accessed
so
a lot
many
of
things.
them, but not the Premiere itself. Okay, thank you.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Go to Gordon.
Sure.
Gordon's question, I'm just backing up to find it. Which sessions work best combined with self-hypnosis, transcripts, and guided imagery? Which sessions work best combined with self-hypnosis, transcripts, and guided imagery?
There really are no best sessions. And we've been doing, of course, that kind of stuff for a long time. And it's all about carefully balancing your sort of your level, your arousal or your level of consciousness. I used to do it in the old days because I would fall asleep all the time on the session.
The question is, which sessions work best with self-hypnosis and guided imagery?
Generally speaking, the consensus is alpha theta in that range. But there's a lot of people who will run an alpha or theta session that will always fall asleep. I will fall asleep all the time. So if I have my arm propped up on the bed, let's say, usually you're just laying on the bed, when it starts to fall over, it'll often kind of wake me up. And so that's one way you can use to try to not fall too asleep. You can also make your own guided imageries, which I'd really recommend. Record them and make an audio file. You can do that off your phone easily, and then put that on the SD card. pair it with the session so you hear your own audio, and it takes you through the guided imagery. Or you can use someone else's audio if you don't want to use your own. Some people do really well with Gansfeld, which is passive. So they will just put up a color that just is on steady, and there's just a tone or maybe white noise. It just shh, or just boom, and that's all they do. And that is perfect for them. Other people, it won't do anything for them at all. So you have to kind of experiment to see where you are, and you're going to find that you change from day to day as well. You know, maybe one day you're going to like Gansfeld, and the next day it's not going to work for you because your arousal is too high. For some things happen, you had a fight with your kids, or something happened during the day, and your arousal went up, and so now you have to use the theta session, which is going to help take you down into that trance state more effectively. And so, you know, it's going to be, it can vary from day to day if you want to get into those sort of altered states for hypnosis and stuff. And getting to learn your own arousal is a good thing to do. But generally speaking, if you want to be fairly guaranteed, consistently all the time, I would look at something between slower alpha and theta, anything from 8 hertz down to like 6-ish, and have a guided imagery that you have recorded on audio. Because if you've got audio to listen to, it will help keep you in that zone, that twilight zone, you know, if you want to call it that. And every once in a while, maybe every 5 minutes, you go boo, just to kind of wake yourself up a little, in case you have fallen asleep, or you make some kind of a sound, ring a bell or something like that, just to wake you up if you have fallen asleep. You can get it. I've been into some states that were so on the edge, not quite asleep, but in this brilliant state where I could connect dots from all kinds of crazy things that don't seem to be connectable. And that's the nice thing about doing this over REM sleep. REM sleep, I don't hardly remember a thing ever. But on the device, if I wake up 10 minutes after I've had some big insights, I typically remember them. And then you get your left brain involved, and then you do the science side on it, right? And you make it happen from a logical perspective, because sometimes when you're way out in that twilight zone, things aren't always so logical. They seem like they might be, or maybe sometimes they're very brilliant, and you need to get the logic. You need to write them down before they're lost. And because once they're lost, you're not going to get that logic. You won't be able to apply your logic to it to see how they pan out scientifically. I've done design work with it. I've had some really good insights on how to program mink gear and stuff like this by getting into those deep states and just beyond that edge. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, there was another one about the SMR beta session. For post-concussion with flatline alpha, is it SMR beta brain booster number 2 to boot up the brain in 15 minutes?
Normally on a delight, we're using number 3, but you can use number 2 as well. Either one. The SMR beta seemed to work well. Now this is a counterintuitive effect of entrainment. These guys don't make alpha, not because they're too engaged. Like if you are engaged mentally, you won't make alpha either, or you make very little alpha. Like if you're all stressed out and stuff, it's very difficult to get someone in, you know, do an EEG, and if they're all stressed out, they might not make any alpha for you at all until they get calmed down. And if that's the case, put them on the gear, calm them down, then you get a lot of alpha. But you also get people who physiologically cannot make their alpha. And alpha will not bring up their alpha. But we have found that randomized SMR beta, or the brain booster, which is in a sense randomized as well, and it's going between alpha and SMR beta back and forth. We have found that that does a pretty good, in fact, that does typically a really good job of bringing in huge amounts of alpha, usually in 15 to 20 minutes. And it works way better than giving them alpha. Alpha won't bring up their alpha at all. So we are hitting systems in the brain with the SMR beta that alpha does not hit. And it's because it's not, these guys are not making their alpha because they are, say, over anxious, or they can't relax, or they're a little low alpha for some reason. No, these guys have an absolute physiological issue that has shut their alpha down. I'm reading, see, up to 5 millivolts negative on the scalp, which is a reflection of the calcium gradient, lactate, ATP, and who knows what else gradients we are seeing that for some reason seems to gate off the thalamus. And entrainment drives up lactate ATP 260%, even at low frequencies, in a 5-minute span. It drives up cerebral blood flow. It's doing the cerebral spinal fluid. It's doing a lot of stuff. And it's those things that boot up the brain again and get the alpha reestablished in this group that are flatliners. Yeah, so it's not really the frequency that's that important. Yeah.
So Dave, what's the protocol that you'll be using for that? That example you just gave us, that, as a
I'm typically using SMR beta, in that
beta.
brain booster section.
So on a Delight Pro and a Delight Plus, it is actually the number 2 session. So number 2
I use
is
number 3
SMR
as well.
beta.
Yeah, I do number 3
SMR
also.
betas, on the left you get 13.5 and on the right 18. Number 3 is left is 14 to 10 and right is 19 to 10.
Yeah, the right side, as I showed you earlier, it ramps up and down.
Yeah.
On that
And
one.
if I could ask, what sort of protocol, when you're doing the study with Michael Joyce, you're referring to that earlier, and then the other session as well, would that have been SMR beta for those kids? So I think it was autistic kids and learning difficulties.
Well, we were doing the SMR beta with a fairly sharp transition, then to alpha, then SMR beta, with fairly sharp transitions, not gentle transitions, to help keep them engaged and keep them dissociated.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another question here, Dave, for you. I have a 24-hour heart monitor appointment coming up. Will using the heartbeat on a session during affect the reading adversely?
Only if you breathe to it. Because then you're doing heart rate variability training if you breathe to it. If you're just listening to it, no, it's just going to have a calming effect, but it won't do anything else. Yeah, you can link and download it. Yeah. Yes, Gordon.
Oh, yeah, when I'm just in the early stages at home use, and I'm just wondering, like, I'm in this period where I really want to work at insomnia, and I'm kind of more intense than I normally would be. I'm combining different things, and I'm giving myself 3 or 4 weeks to really focus on my anxiety and insomnia. The frequency, can you start like a self-treatment that's more often and then go to a maintenance frequency later on? Because I don't think I can keep up the amount of time I'm putting into
for cognitive things, yes. For relaxation, it depends. Insomnia is a little bit trickier. There's a lot of factors that play with insomnia. If your electrolytes are off, you'll have insomnia. If you have deficiency in vitamin D, you'll have insomnia. If you have deficiencies in B complex, you'll have insomnia. So many nutritional inputs will affect insomnia in big ways, as well as stress and anxiety during the day. But the first thing we got to do, the brain is basically, if you consider the brain to be a Ferrari engine, and Ferraris are beautiful engines. I mean, those things purr beautifully. They're so smooth and powerful. But if you don't have good fuel, you can never tune a Ferrari engine. They'll just run like crap always. And we have Ferrari brains, and we have to have good fuel and going into our brains. We've got to eat good breakfast, good lunch, good dinners, and we got to avoid a lot of stuff. It's not just what we put in that's good, but it's what we push away. We shouldn't eat or shouldn't do, like maybe watch the 10 o'clock news, before we go to bed, or things like this, stressful things. So, but we put in sensorially into our minds also affects how we sleep, not just nutritionally, but all of it does. But definitely you got to get on nutrition.
So Dave, what should I get started with? I got the kit here.
What would you like to do?
Was What's that?
The manual.
Yeah,
Oh,
what do you want to
damn.
do first? You just want to have
Yeah.
a nice experience? Just run an SMR protocol. Earlier in the day, you shouldn't run the betas and the fast stuff at night generally, because it might keep you up. And I recommend never running slow stuff in the morning unless you've been up for 3 or 4 hours.
And the
So
SMR
it
is
can
called
fog
just
you out.
SM. If I look at the list here, let me find it with you. Sorry to interrupt the. So just called SMR. Is it in the? Hang on a second. So
Or
recently
healthy
used,
alpha. Healthy alpha is fine too. That would be under the relaxation category.
and the SMR is in the relaxation also.
It's on
Uh,
page 12 in the manual under AVE Brain Booster session.
It's on the brain booster. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he wants to do it from the machine. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So
So I'll go to page
So-
12. I don't have it here with me, but I'll look it up. But
yeah.
that's to do an SMR protocol, right?
And-
Let's go to
and-
brain booster.
The category is
Brain
Brain Booster.
Brain booster.
brain
But
booster,
I'm
let's
avoiding
try
the beta in there. Just the SMR, right?
SMR for reading. No, that is synchronized. That is not randomized. So that is fixed SMR. I think you'll probably be happier with the randomized stuff a bit, but
And what's the
I
yes?
should
Then what's the
have.
name in the list?
I don't. That's funny. I don't see the randomized SMR in here. Where would that be?
In the
It should be
session
in the-
library,
Yes.
and then you go, the icon is a light bulb. Do you see this? So the light bulb is Brain Booster.
Yes.
And then once you get to the light bulb, you click the check mark to view the sessions in there. And what
I'll
are
tell
you
what,
calling it, Dave?
I'm going to change things. Let's just go to Healthy Alpha. Just give that a shot.
Okay,
So
we're gonna
now
go
press
back.
your button to get out of the Brain Booster section. So give your
Yeah.
power button a short press, not a long, because it'll shut it off if it's long.
Yeah.
Short press to get back up. Now you're in the Brain Booster section. So go back up now.
And I
just
have the
to,
full list. Okay. 51 sessions. Yes.
yeah. So go down to the one that says relaxation.
And the icon is a couch.
Yeah, that's a couch. In case you're wondering. Here it
What
is.
is it?
I'm sorry, guys, but it's like, in the films, your grandfather is
it'll
about to
say
say your real
relaxation.
father's name is, then you cut.
Don't
You
worry
don't
about the couch.
What, because you cut, you froze.
Yeah. Oh, you froze. Okay,
again.
you froze too. You're frozen here. I can hear you though. Just look for the relaxation section. And there you go. I got your back. Yeah, and then you'll click on that, and then you'll see Alpha Relaxer.
I'm so sorry, Dave, because I cut out.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I just, I zoned out with the internet. So I'm going to Brain Booster.
Well, no, use your power button and just give it a short press and get out of the Brain Booster.
Yes.
And then you're going to be back into, let's say, Brain Boost. Now use your down arrow on volume or bright, doesn't matter, and go through the different sections.
Yeah.
Hit relaxation.
So I'm going to go in here. Relaxation 5 set. There's a couch. Yes.
Yep. Hit the check mark.
Okay.
Healthy relaxer, Alpha Relaxer. Just hit that one and go. That's the one. Just try that one instead. If you hit the check mark, it'll start up and it'll start to run. And then you just do that. Hit your check mark. Let it power up. And then you're gonna once it's up, we'll turn the unit off. So just let it. It takes 10 seconds to. There you go. Now shut your device off. Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just because I was cut out again.
No worries.
I
It's
don't
okay.
want to take too much time here. I just zoned out.
Turn your device off. Turned it off. Yep. Now turn it on.
Yeah.
Now you'll see there's a new section called recently used. Now hit the check mark and it'll be there. And just hit it again and you're going. And you can add a sound to it at this point if you want. If you want to add a brook, this would be a good time to add a sound.
I know that, but I missed the other bit because you cut out. So it's not Alpha Relaxer. Which one is it?
Yes, Alpha Relaxer.
Alpha Relaxer. Yep.
Oh,
now press and hold your check mark. Press and hold. And then audio file. No, we don't want that. Go to, oh, audio file. Yes. Hit the check mark. And I would
Yep.
recommend you select the Babbling Brook. It's very peaceful.
Yes.
Okay, so hit the check mark, Babbling Brook. Okay, now hit your power button to get back out, to go back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then now click check mark and the alpha relaxer. You see there's music notes now.
Yeah.
That's your Babbling Brook. Now hit the check mark and it goes. Good, good.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, guys, for attending. It means a lot to me. Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Dave.
Good to see
Good
you.
to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.